So our coaching community has been up and running for about 6 months or so, and Vicki has been an ever-presence in our community since that point. Today I'm delighted that she's allowed me to record a one-to-one session that we held this morning, where I was both fixing some of her photos that she took off a camera phone in Adobe Photoshop, and we're looking at the latest version in Creative Cloud, which has the much talked about AI features, and we picked 3 to edit. It's a paid one-to-one session that is exclusively available to our coaching community members, and the idea of this particular session wasn't a walkthrough on the very basics in Adobe Photoshop. I've got courses and tutorials for that exact requirement, but instead it was a showcase to show what you can do with this powerhouse photo editor. I don't work on Photoshop every single day, but I have been photoshopping for over 25 years, so I know a trick or two to solve everyday problems with photos. Because this is just recorded straight off a Zoom call, the audio quality does cut in and out a little, but I've watched it back and you should be able to follow 95% of the audio. So anyway, let's crack on. Okay, so in this next live tutorial, we're going to take some photos that have been taken on a camera phone and then adjust them and turn them into something that looks a little bit more polished. The things that we can't do in that time and place when we're taking the photo. And so I'm outside today, so it's a little bit bright, but I think we'll be fine. So Vicki, you might have to talk me through some of the details if I miss something, if it's not quite bright enough on the screen. But before I started, I want to give a quick demo of some of the photos I've been working on this week, and this is actually going out in a separate video in the next couple of days. We've got this photo here, and if we go back to the very beginning, the original photo, you see it's closely cropped. We have someone in the edge here. There's also some areas of the bark here that just tidied up a little bit, and we extended the photo because there aren't any landmarks or anything of note either side of this photo. That's why we were able to extend it. And we may not have the option with yours, Vicki, just because obviously someone will go there and if it adds a garden shed that doesn't exist or something like that, then it doesn't quite obviously fit with it. So, but that's the kind of the before and after for this one. This next photo is probably a more realistic example in terms of what we're going to work with yours, because we can see here we've got the lawn around it. I could actually manufacture and put some gravel in on the edges, but I felt that would just make it a little too artificial potentially. But if we go back to the original, we can see it's much closer cropped in. It's a little bit moodier and glum just today in terms of taking the photo. And by being too closely cropped in, you lose some of the detail. So I've definitely added more saturation, a bit more color to it. And I've tried to add a little bit more blue to the sky without going extreme on this. So it looks realistic to the photo. So that's, I've already done these, so I don't need to save these progress. I'm just going to close them down now, and we're going to open up the 3 photos that I've chosen from the selection you sent across.
Okay.
So Photoshop is a app that takes years and years of practice to master. I even say I'm not a master on it now, but I know enough to get by, certainly. Someone who is working on this all day, every day will certainly beat me on many things in relation to Photoshop. First of all, what I'm going to do with this, we can see it's quite dark around the frame here and light in the doorway. Now, if I go to levels, which is Command L on a Mac or Control L on my Windows computer, I can adjust the levels to increase the exposure. But you can see we're starting to blow out the colors in the background. It looks washed out and it's not very nice compared to what we can do. So what I'm going to do instead is go to the dodge tool, which if you hold this button here, we've got the dodge tool there. This allows us then to adjust the exposure. So I'm going to go in at something like 10 to 15%. Yeah, going at 13. And what I'm going to do is target the shadows to start with. So instead of adjusting the background here, we're just going to just paint it over this section here.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to just manually touch up these shadows here. So now we can switch to midtones. I'm just going to go lightly over the midtones. You want to keep a nice balance around it. And now we're going to go to the highlights. Okay, so if we look at the original photo, what we've done, we just got that one change. How's that looking for you? Because it's a little bit cut on my screen, so it's really
that's
Photoshop with one hand
better.
pointed. Yeah, I got one hand pointed behind my back now. But so that's the first thing we can do. The next one we can do, and if we wanted to turn it into a square photo, we could certainly use this crop tool here change the ratio to 1:1 to make it square. Now, hold in Option Windows computer, but that will expand it from the middle. So what this will do now is it will use AI to create more photo left and right of this. Well, it's not going to be 100% accurate to the real life situation. So that's a decision, like obviously you make on a case by case basis for it.
Yeah.
But just for the sake of experimenting, let's have a look and see how that works. I'm not going to put anything in here because I don't want it to get confused. So I wanted to take the info from the photo and just do its job of expanding across. And that's going to take probably about 20 seconds now to recreate the new section in the photo. There. For a cup of tea. There we go. So this section here looks okay. This here is a bit messy. So,
Yeah.
So what you see, is it a worktop or?
Yeah, it's a gas hob.
Right. Okay. So we could cheat. And if you think it's no one's going to notice, I'm going to go to layer and flatten image first. So we're going to take that down. We can see that there's some like a repeat here. It doesn't quite know what to do with it. So, and this doesn't look quite right. So now this, I think we can do better than that. This actually gives us three variations anyway.
Okay.
So that one looks a bit better because it's, because it's nondescript there. And that one's a bit messy as well. So we could go with that one and just basically clone this across and sharpen it up a little bit as well. So because we've got a bit of blur there, that looks a bit strange. So for the sake of this, let's do that. Yeah, so I'm going to flatten the image. And now there's two tools that I will use to fix this generally. One is Heal tool. And I'm using the square brackets to increase or reduce the cursor size. And with the Spot Heal tool, I just paint over the section I want to get rid of. It doesn't always get it right because it's taking info from all around it. So what we can do instead, if we want it to be a bit tighter control, is use the clone stamp tool. Now with this tool, we can click and hold again Option on a Mac. I think it's Alt on P on a Windows computer. And then basically we're taking the section with the crosshairs there and bringing it and mirroring it down below. You can basically just tidy that up a little bit there. And what I'm going to do here is more of the same. You can see it's what it's copying and what it's going to paste in. And so I'm just bringing that across. What we're trying to do with this part of the photo is get it so no one notices. To make it. So try and make that look a realistic hedge. Yeah. We don't want it. Another option, we can bring this up higher. So I dragged it down lower. You can see it's taken in the line on the window itself.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of repetition there that I can just clone out of it, basically. That's not perfect, but I think it's looking better. We just grab the Heal tool now and see if we can get rid of some of that blurred. No, it doesn't like that. So we're going to go back to the clone tool. This is where I would normally zoom in. Maybe. Now I can just take a smaller area with the clone tool, just to create those textures and bring them across. Another option I could do is just select within that window and then put like a hedge. So I'll just show you a demo of that quickly as well. So instead of expanding the width of the photo, what we're going to do is go in here. But the difference with this, it's great if you're selling a product, but not so great if you're selling a location.
Yeah.
Because what it's going to do is it'll replace it with different styles of hedges that it thinks fit within that background. And of course, if that's not your actual location, it's going to look a bit jarring. So I'm not expecting us to stick with this. It's just more of a demo to
Okay.
show what you can do.
Yeah.
Hopefully it won't take too long. There we, there we go. So you got three different versions of those just dramatically created. None of them really fit because I think it's because of the door frame here. It doesn't really know like the
Yeah, it's got nothing
proportions
to
or the
go by,
sizes.
has it?
No,
Mm.
it's trying to go by the inside as opposed to the outside. So that was just a
Uh,
fun experiment. I think we're better off sticking with what we've got. So again, what I need to do though is just tidy this. You can see there's repetitions here in the textures.
mm.
What we're going to do is just take this hedgerow right up.
To be honest, that's pretty much what the hedge does actually look like at the moment. It's because there's no leaves on it at the moment.
Yeah. So I kept the marquee tool there, so we're only selecting. So it means I can go over the edges without causing problems.
Mm.
What I'm trying to do now is to take details so it doesn't look like a repeating pattern, because that's a decade
Yeah,
away.
yeah.
It's too uniform, like a wallpaper.
Mm.
A lot of people see through.
A lot of people know all
That.
about AI now, don't they? So
Yeah. This part is just good old fashioned Photoshop. This is what we were doing
yeah.
for years before AI tools came in and we were able to use that.
Mm.
But like for me, I think that's not perfect, but um, the other option is we blur this section and then blur that with it. But I don't think anyone would notice that.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it draws no attention to it. So what we can just checking and we got it flattened. Yes, we have. What we're going to do now is go back to the dodge tool, and I'm going to take some of these shadows here and just do them a tiny bit more, maybe midtones.
Yeah.
I can't see too much about what's going on here. So
Yeah, it'd be nice
um,
to be able to see a bit more.
yeah, but we need the original photo to be able to kind of work with it. So like the
Yeah,
one
of
option
course.
we've got is
Yeah.
we just revert back to the portrait version because we know what we're working with that.
Mm.
Which I'm thinking that's what we do here, because I think I've probably made it to like, so if we go back to the original, and I think would you rather that, or what do you think? What's your preference? We go with this orientation, and I'll reach along
Yeah,
with it.
yeah, perhaps so, because that's the right, wow, that's
Yeah,
more the right size, I suppose, for Instagram that I'd be using it for
there we
anyway.
are. Perfect. So I'm just going to take those midtones and punch them up. I'm not actually going to increase the shadows. There we go. And what I'm going to do now is actually go to the burn tool and go within this door frame, this outside of the doorway. Now I'm going to darken the midtones only by 5% to bring that back closer to the interior.
That looks better.
We're basically working on the lighter areas. I don't want to work on the
Mm.
highlights because I want to keep the kind of the nice punchy contrast in
Mm.
there. But the shadows and the midtones, we can just darken a little bit. So there's not as strong a contrast between indoor and outdoor, but also keeping it looking
Yeah.
relatively realistic. So what we
Yeah.
can do now is go to Command L, and now we can bump up the exposure of the entire photo. Just a tiny bit. I don't want to do too much with that. We can make the darker colors a little bit darker if we wanted to, but I think we're fine on that. And
Mm.
this option here would blow out the white, but obviously we don't want to do too much with that. So we're only doing very minor tweaks there on the levels. And then Command hue and saturation. And what we're going to do now is just bump up the saturation by about 10%. But we could probably go up to actually about 15. So that's giving it a
Oh,
little bit more.
that's a difference. Yeah.
Yeah. So just those little tweaks there can make
Mm.
make such a difference as well. And one I tend to do is go to filter and sharpen, and then sharpen the edges.
Hmm.
But sometimes that will give it a little bit sharper finish on some of the edges. But now let's do a little bit of housekeeping on here. You can see a couple of things on the doorway. We don't want it too pristine because it needs to look like it's, someone staying there. That's the kind of look that we're after. But I'm just going to go to the heal
Yeah.
tool now. You see a couple of sticks here on the ground. We'll just heal them out without it looking too blurred. So sometimes the best thing for that is to go smaller brush size. Yep. Making some of the more noticeable blemishes on the photo we can just take out. You can go absolutely crazy with this and spend half an hour, especially for social media photos. I wouldn't,
Yeah.
because you don't want them to look too artificial either.
Hmm.
And that's looking pretty good in the background there. And just having a look around the photo now. Is there anything that we need to particular? Also, like clean my screen. That would make it easier. No, I think we're pretty good on that one. I think. Are you happy with that as an option?
Yeah. The one thing that I don't know if we can do anything with it or not, but is what's standing out to me, but this is probably because I know that this is what it's like at the minute, is the little patch between the porch floor and the platform that the hot tub's on.
Yeah.
There. See, I know at the moment that it's a bit wet and not great.
Yeah.
We're going to put gravel down next week, but for that particular photo, I don't know whether just a strip of green grass would look better. I don't know if that's a possibility or not.
Cool. Yeah. I think we could probably take some of this gravel here. This would take a bit longer, so I'll just do a demo in terms of how I would do it,
Mm-hmm.
and then just clone it in here. Because
Mm-hmm.
gravel's generally a repeating pattern, we can do something with that. Um,
I think it's because I know at the moment, because we've
yeah,
had so much rain.
I didn't notice it being too much of a problem. I'm doing this using the marquee tool, polygonal one, and then I'm selecting everything, including that gravel. So it means then it'll just kind of keep me flush to that line decking. So
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, very therapeutic, great photoshopping.
It's what, sorry? Therapeutic.
Yeah, it's quite a nice job. I always quite like working on photos. I think if I was doing it all day, every day, it would be very different.
At the moment with Photoshop, I go in thinking I'll do this great thing with my photo and end up frustrated. I
Yeah,
can't work it.
you're not alone there, but it's like Photoshop. It's getting more and more powerful, obviously with AI tools, but it's still not a miracle worker.
Yeah.
If like you take a photo in winter, what we're trying not to do is try and turn it into summer, because
Yeah.
like it'll just take way too long. You're better off holding fire till summer. But what we can do
Yeah.
is just basically do a little bit of housekeeping to tidy it up. If there was more grass
Yeah.
here, for example, we could like the other option. So we've got the option here where I can build up the gravel, and that's already looking a bit tidier.
Mm-hmm.
Or the other option is we could put a lawn section in between the two. But then is that
Mm-hmm.
too far away from what you've got now?
At the moment, this time of year, there isn't grass there, but
Yeah.
in the summer there will be.
Okay. So you're gonna lawn this in the summer.
Well, it'll have gravel on it, but the grass will
Right.
go through the gravel, but there will be a hard standing underneath the grass then for when it's wet.
Okay. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to change this to a lawn. See if the AI tool will pick up on that. So I'm going to keep these stones in there, like stepping stones.
Yeah, because they're like little stepping stones.
Yeah. We're going to take this timber back to trim that grass there digitally. Right, and now I'm going to press Option or Alt on a Windows computer to extract this section from the image. It's a bit more prep work with this type of approach. So that one, let's extract this one as well.
So you're moving your cursor at the same time as pressing Alt.
Press Alt, holding Alt when I make the first click of the cursor, and then it knows and I want to basically remove that
so
section. And now, now I'm going to hold
that
Shift for the first click, and next to the cursor itself, it goes now to a plus. Now I know that plus is in place. Really annoying. The zoom toolbar got in my way. So I have to. I'm just going to extract this. The AI will, like, as long as you're really close to the boundaries, it will do it itself. So now we've got the challenge of this plant in here. I'm going to have to just cut through that for now and then see what it does.
Yes.
With it. That might be a problem. So what you'll find with Photoshop is that a lot of photos, you'll be fine straight away. But then the more you want to do with it, the more obstacles and challenges you will run into that you need to kind of problem solve on the fly.
Yeah.
What am I doing going up all the way up there? I don't need to. I win. So I'm just going to remove that section that I went up too far there. Okay, now we've got our marquee selection. So we've got this area here, minus some of the flagstones, but not all of them. I'm just going to grab this last one. And I don't think he's quite smart enough to keep that plant in there, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So we've got the flagstones in there. This could be horrendous. So we're going to just put, this is where we are going to type in lawn and generate. I'm intrigued to see how it will handle this, because it's quite a complex proposition. We put it this way because there's things like that. Okay, so it's got really confused by that.
Yeah.
So it's thinking it wants some crazy paving. So,
that looks quite nice.
It does. It's just like, is it too far away from?
Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be, because we're selling it. We can't put fake.
You can't change the location.
It's got to look like it does at some point in the year, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's an idea, actually.
Yeah. But what we can do, though, is take aspects from this now. Because it's a separate layer. What we can do is rasterize the layer. Okay. We can keep this bit because it's tidied up, and we can keep this gravel here. If that makes sense. And then bring the stones back and then clone these bits of gravel back in between the stones. So what it's done is it's helped us a little bit. So what I could do now is go to the marquee tool. Just cut these sections into layer. So now we've got better stone quality to work with to blend back in. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And that's how the stones are. So
because we're editing this layer, not the background. Do the same with that. One thing really impressed me is it kept the tree, the
Yeah,
plant.
yeah,
So that
yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. So now we've got something better to work with. We can bring
Mhm.
this in, so it's not so grey and muddy. The grass looks better. Like even that looks a bit sharper now, doesn't it?
It does.
I think
Yeah.
so.
And it's put the right sort of grass on there as well. I kind of was expecting like
Too
a
pristine or like
pristine
yeah.
lawn, and it's
Um,
not like that.
and what we can do now is use the clone tool and just blend this down in. Oh, right up to 100%. We don't want it blurry. We want it really nice and
Yeah.
sharp. We're definitely going to see patterns here, but then this is where we can fix it afterwards. Don't know how to do that. Like we could be half an hour on this photo and then 2 minutes on the next one. That's
Yeah.
Photoshop in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Right? Do better. If I release it with the clone tool, it resets from its original position.
Um,
Used to. We can see a line forming here now and like patterns. There's the same tool, the dodge and burn tool that we can use here now. Same effect. So we can basically darken it, this section here.
mhm.
We can use the sharpening tool, like a brush tool on it, so it doesn't look so blurry.
Yeah.
The good thing with gravel is it's essentially like a repeating pattern. The
Mm.
detail's so small that we can probably get away with it.
Yeah.
Are you struggling to keep up on the whirlwind of digital marketing changes, whether that's new AI tools, upgrades on ChatGPT or Grok, shifting algorithms, updates to Squarespace and Canva that they never seem to announce? We have a solution. Join our free membership program today. We will give you expert-led courses to demystify technology, a community where you can share your headaches, and networking aspect where you can meet designers and business owners to share ideas. If you're after a little more, our community membership plan, $97 a month, where you can access 5 support calls with myself and the Pixel Haze Academy team every single week. And if you're a professional designer, our Pixel Haze Power Pack is packed full of goodies, including Square a rapid template builder, Squarespace plugins, tips, tricks, and resources, and the best Chrome extension for Squarespace in Square Websites tools, allowing you to transfer content between Squarespace sites and a whole lot more. Head over to pixelhaze.academy/membership. Hope to see you on the other side.
And the one thing that's really important to do here is just to take it in and like by hand, make that edge not a straight line.
Yeah.
Right there. Okay, so that's in most of that. Oops.
Okay. So clever.
Yeah, I remember having to use this tool. Oh God, it's over 15 years or so, maybe probably more. And it was the one thing that when I had a client, when I was just finishing off some photos for the website, it was just like, it was jaw dropping back then. Now with kind of AI, people become desensitized to what you can do with it, but
Yeah.
still one of my favorite tools, the clone tool. So how's that looking?
Yeah. Looks a
We're good.
lot cleaner.
I think we can do
If
more with the
only
edge here.
Yeah. There's a little bit on the side of the door frame as well, where just I'm pointing at it, but you can So where the light switch is, if you come to the right across, just go down the door frame. It's just where the clone gravel has gone over the
here.
Edge of the door frame. Yeah.
Good spot. I missed that. I'm a bit annoyed with myself for missing that. Right. Okay. So what we're going to have to do is bring this line back in first.
Oh, there we are. Perfect.
And then what we're going to have to do is bring the gravel back into it.
There we are.
What we do now is go to this blur tool here, and we hold it down. We've got sharpen, and we're going to sharpen it by, say, 11%. I can again use the square brackets to increase or reduce the brush size, and we're just going to sharpen this up now.
When you say are the square brackets, the ones on the keyboard?
Yeah, that's the ones. Yeah, so you've got the curly brackets directly above them on the same button.
Yeah. So I've found that on a lot of the tutorials I've watched for Photoshop, a lot of it is done on the keyboard rather than the mouse with shortcuts from the keys.
I use like, for example, clone stamp tool is S, and then you switch it to that. The spot heal.
So is that something that if you're
it created a cheat sheet for Photoshop, but there's definitely loads about anyway where you can just do a quick search or even get on ChatGPT and ask it to build you a cheat sheet for Photoshop just by saying what you're going to be largely doing on Photoshop. So it'll because
brilliant.
Yeah, that's something that I'd recommend. So now I'm going to use the burn tool, and we're going to take the shadows right down here. And it turned.
That's a lot better, and that is actually what it will look like.
There's a little bit here that's annoying me. So we're going to clone cleaner edge here. What I'm doing now is just taking some of these spots here. We could see there's a bit of a recurring pattern, and I'm just getting rid of them if I can, or reducing them. There have been times where I've actually got a photo with this on the same trajectory with the gravel that we want, and then there's basically cloned it across from that photo into this one.
Yeah.
To the equivalent. That's something I used to do a lot of. Things like grass now and gravel and stuff like that, though, you can, if it wasn't for the flagstones, it could probably get an effect pretty close to what I wanted here.
Yeah.
Could be hours. That's not perfect for me. I can still see repeating patterns here. So, but as with everything in terms of being on the usage for it, there's a point where you just say, okay, enough's enough. And that's enough for that particular photo. And I think we're probably getting to that stage now.
Yeah. So, no, that looks dramatically better.
So if we go back to the originals, I always like to do the before and after.
Yeah.
That's what we were looking at. That's what we're looking at now. So it's basically lightened up the interior, added a bit more color to it. The gravel's a little bit closer to summertime, but we can still see it's winter here. We could, if we wanted to, just use the sponge tool again on this section here. Just give a little bit more color in the background, which would be quite nice, I think.
Okay.
And then we're going to burn the midtones in the section where it's just blown out a little bit. So if we burn it, it's likely to go closer to monochrome, and then that's where we can use the sponge tool then alongside it.
So the burn tool makes the colours stand out more.
The burn tool darkens it basically.
Okay.
But it actually, what it will do is it will make it less colorful. You can see it's looking more blackish
Okay.
in there. So that's where the sponge tool will increase or decrease the saturation. So we've got it on
Right.
saturate mode at the moment by 10%. And there we go. So it's such a minor detail because you've got a little bit of light burn there on the edge of it. But
Mhm.
I think we'll
That looks a
call
lot
it a day
better.
there. Mm.
Yeah.
Yep. Excellent. Right. Let's move on to the next photo and let's see what we've got to work with here. So this is another interior shot. I think there's probably a lot less to do here.
Yeah. I think what I was annoyed about when I was looking at these photos was the fact that I hadn't moved the bins
Right.
because they just
Okay.
look ugly.
Yeah.
And it would have taken me 2 seconds just to pop them outside on the porch.
And that would have been an easier approach.
Yes, I know. So if you'd
Uh,
rather not do that one, it's fine.
yeah, I don't think it will do it.
Okay.
What we'll try and do is I will just say remove bin,
Okay.
because there are like tools, photo editing tools that will remove objects and then it will kind of try and make up the rest of it
Yeah.
accordingly. It could do this in Photoshop, but it would take probably about 15 minutes just to remove the bin to do it right. Because I'd have to clone in from
Yeah.
this side across, and then I'd have to then rebuild the fire blanket box in, or we'd remove that.
Well, you can get rid of that as well if you want.
Yeah, okay. Not tried this exact thing before, so I'm intrigued. It could just go and it'll put an ostrich in there or something really random sometimes. The most random thing you could throw into that, he'll just drop it in there. No,
We've got a really long broom.
It's a broom,
If
yeah.
it wasn't for the broom, that would be okay.
But we could tidy that up. Or we could just get rid of the broom.
Yeah, fine. Yeah. Because that's what generally I do
well,
anyway when I'm taking photos.
That one is.
That's better.
Right. Which one are we looking at? That one or that one? Oh, that one, is it?
That one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's not something you're going to notice, I don't think. Yeah. So what we can do now is layer, flatten image. And now we can just darken the section here so we can hide it a little bit more using the burn tool again. Midtones here. Because you would probably be a bit darker there anyway without the bin.
Yeah. Can the other bin go as well or not? Or is that a bit more difficult?
We can try it. I'm using the polygon lasso tool here now just to we want to keep the edge of the shelf. The only thing is the shadow that the bin it cause a
yeah. Of
problem.
course.
I'm going to include some of that shadow. Same one. So by including the shadow, hopefully it will just realize that actually we don't want that shadow, like that random shadow being there.
Yeah. It's gone.
Yeah, so there's a bit of it.
I don't know what that looks like. A log.
Yeah. We've got some books.
There we are. Yeah,
Happy with the
books
books?
are on there sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, there we are.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
better. That's
It's not perfect,
better.
but I think for social media that will be that'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Because it's not what I don't want to do is try and create a picture that isn't true, but I just take the bins out. So that's correct anyway.
Yeah. So we can just
see,
What's the matter?
That no, that when you, I don't know what did you put was it the you just made that a bit darker then, and that's lovely.
Yeah, so it just
It's
it's
a
about
bit dark, but it's warmer, isn't it?
yeah. That's what I'm after there. So the highlights are nice and punchy. It does blow out the outside a little bit, but then that's where we can bring it back now, I think, with the burn tool.
That's lovely. That is. Yeah, it's nice through the window in the door. I suppose I know that it's a little bird feeder hanging in the tree there.
All right, should we? Yeah, should we take that out? It just adds.
Can do, yeah.
And now we're just going to use the sponge tool to saturate this part a little bit. A bit of colour.
So I don't know how far you can go through the windows because actually through the kitchen window there you can see the mountains and the blue sky, but I don't know if it's possible to actually
What
get
you need
detail through the window or not.
Yeah. So what a photographer would do would create a HDR photo with which actually takes say 3 or 4 photos together, and it will take the light parts, it will take the dark parts, all
Right.
part of it. There are ways of doing it. Basically, you would just pick you would take 2 photos of 2 different, same location, but 2 different shutter speeds and ISOs. So,
Right. Yeah.
That's how we do it. I'm not a professional photographer, but photographers explained to me that's kind of how they do it.
Yeah, makes sense.
That was incredibly clever.
Yeah.
So just putting a bit more punch into the cushions here in the foreground. Give a nice bit of colour. There we go. Since there. How's that looking?
That's great. That's fantastic.
Fantastic. I'm just going to go sharpen edges as well. I think that works well with social media photos.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's have again, same with this one. We'll have a look back at the original. So obviously it's
big difference.
We've artificially punched up the colours, but not to an extreme level. And obviously the main thing then with the bins being removed,
that makes such a difference. When you darken the colour, to bring out the wood, how did you do that?
So that was levels. Levels, Command L or Control L on Open Distributor. And then, so basically I brought the dark levels up from here higher. Now it's about a balancing act. This middle one will adjust the overall exposure. But what we're doing is we're making the darker tones darker or getting them closer to black. And then this one here will just adjust the overall kind of level. So it's a case of just tweaking it by eye. And there's a degree of personal taste with this as well, in terms of how you want your photos to be displayed. But that's the levels, hue and saturation, and then these tools that I've been using regularly, like Clone and Heal tool. Combining them with the AI tools, you get some really good results. And I don't have to use much else.
Say if I want to end up with that sort of look for all of my interior photos because it's showing. What I love is the fact that you can see the grain in the wood, and at that light level, it shows the grain in the wood and it's warm. So can I preset a?
No, I wouldn't do that because each photo will be slightly different depending on time of day and setting that you go for. So what I would do instead is so I'm just going to focus on the lawn on this one whilst I'm doing this again. So this will be a simpler solution.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how this is going to come out. This one could be the most challenging or could be the most straightforward. So I've roughly got that area. Now we're going to use the, as you probably guessed it, the generative fill. And then I'm going to put tidy lawn. We can try lawn just on its own afterwards. But yeah, so going back to the other one where we're tweaking the levels, you want to do this by eye. So it takes about 20 seconds per photo to do it. And then, so you can even just kind of go back to the other photo and then kind of go back through and just get it. You'll get a feel for it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Well, that's looking a bit nicer, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
That would be nice, but we don't want to.
Too pristine.
Yeah, so that one looks more closer to it, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, even that might be a bit pristine, but.
Yeah. What we can do, though, is the same as what we did last time. Is like, so the gravel, this would be grass up here, would it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we can do.
That's gravel around between those two pots there is actually gravel.
Okay, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that's too pristine. But what we can do is cut this section out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that section there where the path goes around, that's grass.
Yeah. So we'll cut this out and then we'll clone some of that grass back in. I need to rasterize the layer because it creates a mask. So. Right, that's it. Okay, so that's kind of what we that's what we've got now. I think what we can do now is actually flatten this and then just put lawn on this bit here to match it up. Mm-hmm. Again, we're going to go back in with the AI tools there. So, it should then pick up those shadows from the trees and match them.
Mm. Okay.
If I was just to clone it across, it wouldn't look realistic enough because of the shadows.
Yeah. So clever.
The fact to get the lighting right on it is just, it baffles me how good that is.
Yeah.
I was trying to do this manually in Photoshop. I've done it. I've actually done tutorials a few years ago for it. I don't need those tutorials anymore because we've got a better way of doing it. But yeah, we've got the shadow there. I think that's fine. I think you get away with that. What do you think?
Yeah.
So if we go back
it's some of a summertime. Although you've got then, haven't you? The trees don't look summery, but
the low light. So I could desaturate the lawn a little bit. So we could use this tool now and go on to desaturate, so it's not quite so colourful.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how just it's greened up here in the last couple of days. Because we've got a couple of days of good weather. So I don't think that's a problem. Because you're not kind of changing what that area is.
No. We're just changing the season.
Yeah. Or tweaking it. So it's slightly more spring
Yeah.
than winter. I'll bring up the saturation, then we'll have a look at the levels again. Just bring these up. I wouldn't want to do too much more with this photo. So to take it kind of too far away from.
Yeah.
Is this a shed here or something in the background?
Oh, right. Yeah. Right down next door farm.
Will you remove it? There we go. For me, that was just looking a little bit kind of sticking out like a sore thumb.
That looks good.
I think we can. Now we've saturated the photo up. Let's just desaturate this part of the lawn here again.
Good.
So that it's not quite so bright. Yeah, how's that? That doesn't look quite so
That's
kind
fab.
of pristine summertime now, does it?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great.
Fantastic.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. 3 photos.
Fabulous.
Let's have a look at, again, the original.
Yeah. Big difference.
I could take those greens and make them more kind of washed out greens if you feel that it needs a little bit more kind of a wintry. So I'll just try this adjustments and then go to replace color. And basically what we can do then is select, try and find one of the more vibrant colors like that there. And then the fuzziness then basically is how much of the photo it affects. And then let's take the saturation right down.
Oh, that's better. That's much better.
Yeah, that's too far. So I'm just going to do it a little bit at a time with each. Yeah, and the lightness down as well then. And then we'll try it one more time.
Yeah.
There we go. That's basically a tidier version of the same time of year, I would say.
Yeah.
For it. And yeah, I think
that green is much, much better.
Yeah. Again, it's because I'm outside and yeah, you can see now it's a little bit kind of hasn't quite got the vibrance that you would get in the summertime.
Yeah.
I think this is probably to do with just bringing back a bit as well. Yeah. Okay. There we go. 3 photos.
Fab.
All done and
That's
dusted in
great.
Photoshop. Various times to do each of them. Again, if you looked at this one, probably took longer than it needed to because I started messing around with extending the edges. If I just focused on this section here, it wouldn't have taken that long at all, actually. But that's the thing with Photoshop. Sometimes we're trying to kind of find solutions as we go.
Yeah.
And there's many ways to get to the result that you want. This one,
It's
removing
great.
the bin, bringing out the background, and then using the levels tool just to darken those darker tones to give it a little bit more contrast on things like the wood grain, which I agree looks really sharp there then. This one is just probably my favorite of the 3 in terms of transformation, taking it from that. And this is something I do regularly where you're just kind of, when I work with Preserve Timber, the examples I showed earlier, where you're taking kind of in one situation and you tidy up the situation, but don't make it look like somewhere completely different. And that's the benefit of Photoshop. I don't think I could tell that's Photoshopped. And that's kind of what I'm after. We haven't kind of changed the sky or tried to change the time of year. We've just kind of embraced what we got in the photo and just improved it incrementally.